And welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook, joined by Justin Wells. Justin, we got some big breaking news to talk about. Alabama wide receiver Isaiah Bond, who basically entered the portal as soon as he heard that Nick Saban was retiring. He has committed to Texas, made it a quick process, made it a pretty orderly process. And now Isaiah Bond, a big name wide receiver, one that Texas was looking for alongside Matthew Golden in the portal, is going to be a Longhorn for the Longhorns' first 2024 season in the SEC.
You know, Joe, when you look at Isaiah Bond, and don't forget, this isn't the first time Texas offered Bond. He actually was offered in late April of 2021 out of Buford, Georgia. This was a kid with just God-given speed, man. You're talking about a 10.5, 21.1, 200-meter kid, like just unbelievably fast. And Steve Sarkisian, he likes to add a hot dose of speed to that receiving core, and this is needed. He's a guy that they've got a lot of inside guys, Joe, but this is a kid you don't turn down a talent like this. Isaiah Bond offers so many ways. You get him the ball in space. He's incredible in and out of routes. He's got strong hands. You flashed his stats a little bit earlier, and if anyone were to say, well, there was not a lot of production there, well, guess what? Adonai Mitchell didn't have a lot of production in Georgia either. The offense at Texas is a little more conducive to padding stats than in some of those other programs, and I think that's one reason Isaiah Bond was so close to Texas and Steve Sarkisian. Obviously part of that, the intel part of that recruitment while he was at Alabama. But at the end of the day, Joe, we've talked about how wide receiver recruiting in the portal was going to be fluid. They wanted to add one, potentially two. It was always kind of an ever-moving, ever-changing cycle. And then all of a sudden, like we talked about all week on Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, when Nick Saban retired, the aftershock was going to be felt for weeks and weeks and potentially months. This is part of that shock. Isaiah Bond to Texas, listen, is big. They have just added another speedster with dynamic playmaking ability on the 40 acres.
Yeah, and you look at what happened with Alabama. You lose Nick Saban, you add Kalen DeBoer. At this stage, a lot of the assistants are still in flux, whether it be Tommy Reese. I don't even think they've still hired a wide receiver coach to replace Holman Wiggins. And Isaiah Bond is like, look, I know Kalen DeBoer is probably a great coach for wide receivers, at least in this offense, but he still wanted to find another home. And hey, he goes to Texas. He knows that Texas is a great place for wide receivers after looking at what Steve Sarkisian did, not only with Adonai Mitchell, but also with Xavier Worthy. And at least as far as, looking at the 2024 wide receiver for Texas, you may not have that 6'3", 200-pound pass catcher, but you look at the group that you've got Jonte Cook, primed to step into a role. You got Matthew Golden, who transferred from Houston, and Texas knows him very well after I think he caught 2 touchdowns against Texas. Now you got Isaiah Bond, who against Texas, I think he only had 1 catch for 34 yards, but he also had a critical 2-point conversion catch late in that game that Texas won 34-24. And you also just kind of look at his stats. You think about the Jalen Milroe effect. Jalen Milroe, a great deep ball passer, but not like a great, progression passer. Not someone who's leading just a high-flying offense, someone who leads a very talented offense. Bond had 48 catches, like we said, for 668 yards and 4 touchdowns. He led the Tide in catches and was second to Jermaine Burton, I believe, in yards and touchdowns. So not only are you getting a very talented, very fast prospect, but you're getting a guy also who understands what high level and high stakes football is as well, having played for Alabama in the game against Texas, the SEC championship, and of course the college football playoff against Michigan.
I could have stopped you at played at Alabama. These are guys, I love how judicious Sark is in the portal. He's not just going to take, the fanciest kid or the flashiest or the highest rated stars, had the star rankings, back in high school. He's looking for culture fits, and he's looking for guys that can come in and improve this roster. And that's exactly what Isaiah Bond does. You said they may not have that 6'3", 200-pound outside guy like they've had last year, but don't forget, Ryan Wingo is going to be on campus in a couple weeks, and at 6'2.5", about 205 pounds, Wingo's going to get some of that run on outside. I think Parker Livingstone's going to get some of that run on the outside. And I don't think Texas is necessarily done completely, because in 2 weeks they're going to be hosting 2024 five-star Ryan Williams, who reclassified, former Alabama commit, whose quarterback, KJ Lacey at Saraland High School in Alabama, is Texas 2025 quarterback commit. A lot of ties there, and that's going to come down to Texas and Auburn as well. And so this is just another example of Sark being smart, adding talent where you see it. Obviously going into the offseason, there were a few spots that needed to be hit, wide receiver, linebacker, edge, things of that sort, safety, nickel, and they've checked every one of those boxes. And then all of a sudden you get a kid that comes in that's the best player available. You don't overthink this. This is the Pete Carroll side of Sark's growing in coaching, because it's competition on competition on competition. That's how you build these programs to get to that Alabama level, to that Georgia level right now. And Sark, I feel like, is well on his way. Isaiah Bond is going to come in and going to play immediately. He's going to be a guy that's going to bring that work ethic from Alabama. And for the most part, we've seen the kids that transfer in from that program do bring a different sort of mindset, a different sort of process about themselves. And so I think this is just another example of Sark being smart in the portal. Some coaches feel like they have to revamp their roster. You look at Texas A&M, I think they added 13 commits, and 11 were out of the portal in a 2-week period. I mean, that's cramming for a finals if I've ever seen one. Sark, he's not in that position. He wanted to make sure he kind of picks and chooses who comes into this program. And Isaiah Bond, to me, fits that role to a T.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned Alabama and bringing in transfers. I think over the past few years, there may be a slight amount of fatigue, at least from Texas fans, for guys coming from that program after Sark was there. I don't know if Sark actually ended up, he probably recruited Bond a little bit, but I don't think he ever coached Bond
No,
at
he didn't coach him.
Alabama. And then at the same time, that fatigue I'm talking about, when you think about, for every Keelan Robinson and for every, Ben Davis, who may not have been productive, but was a good soldier for Texas in that first year, you get a Jaleel Billingsley. You get a Jai Hall. And I think there may be a fatigue. I don't think this is a case of like Texas tapping into its Bama connections, being like, oh, let's get one of their cast-offs. This is a case of Texas plain, just plain and simple, getting one of the best players in the portal available. If this guy had gone to Georgia, if this guy had gone to Florida, if this guy had gone to Virginia Tech, like, this is a player that Texas is pursuing in order to try and get him on that 2024 roster for the first year in the SEC. There may be some old connections from, like you mentioned, when they offered Bond at Buford, or maybe when they were recruiting him. But this isn't taking just like a Bama cast off because Sark and Jeff Banks and AJ Milwee and Kyle Flood were there. This is taking a Bama football player who's going to be very productive. Justin, we kind of talked about Matthew Golden and where he'll fit in the offense, of course, a few weeks ago on this channel. Maybe fitting, not doing the exact same thing as Xavier Worthy, but maybe fitting into that role. Jonte Cook took reps there throughout the season in that same Xavier Worthy role. Where do you think you see Isaiah Bond kind of fitting into the offensive picture? And, maybe you have 3 wide receivers and Golden, Cook, and Bond now, who kind of profile to a similar spot. But Sark's had that before, and he's made great use of it before. It doesn't seem like a problem for me. But where do you kind of see Bond fitting into the picture in that wide receiver room?
I think where we would have seen Golden this spring, now we're going to see Bond there, and we're going to see Golden on the other side. because Golden can stretch the field, and he may not be your 6'3", prototypical, long outside guy, but he can play outside. And once he gets his in route and in motion, talking about speed, I mean, listen, I don't know if I've seen a faster group in years in Austin, just from God-given speed alone. And so I think Golden can actually move around. I'll tell you what this does, Joe. This makes Texas more multiple and versatile with their alignments with these receivers. They're going to be able to be interchanging. They're going to be able, instead of just one spot and one spot, which we saw last year, Whittington, Worthy, and Mitchell didn't come off the field very much last year, but they all pretty much played the same spot. I think you're going to see all three of these guys play a number of different little spots because we know how versatile Jonte Cook is. We know that Isaiah Bond can place him outside and some inside. He did that this last season with Alabama. This is just Sark. This is like Christmas for Sark. He gets to open his presents, and he's like, okay, what do I get this year? Oh, a 10-5 guy, a 10-4 guy, a 21-1 guy. Oh, I can make this work. And then you got that senior quarterback coming back in Quinn Ewers. And you've got that offensive line with all those reps and experience coming back. And you've got a running back room that was a question mark going into last season, which is going to be a strength going into this season. I really think it just gives Sark, he's getting to play with his misfit toys. He's getting to have fun and put these guys, him and Chris Jackson and AJ Milwee and Kyle Flood, they're going to be able to be more versatile, in my opinion. And I think we're going to see a little more emphasis on the run game because you're going to lean on when you have guys like CJ Baxter and Jaden Blue coming back. And I think with the lack of that big time tight end, Gunnar Helm is solid and sturdy and a soldier, but he's not Jatavian Sanders. So what would Sark do? He said, well, we're going to have to change a few things because we got to get the best 11 on the field. Isaiah Bond is in that group of the best 11. So when you mentioned, I loved it when you said with Golden, Cook, and Bond, I could see them all playing all three spots. I think they're all similar in certain areas, some a little bit big. Matthew Golden's actually a little bit bigger than I anticipated. He hit the strength and conditioning program pretty hard at Houston, and I think that'll also be highly beneficial. And so at the end of the day, I think you're just going to see Sark be more creative. I think that's what the spring is for. Get him in, get those guys in, get that timing and all that stuff early in the winter workouts with Quinn, with Arch Manning, with Trey Owens, with Cole Lord. Get those guys reps and see what fits, see what they can work out. I think you're going to see just another side of creativity from Sarkisian. And don't forget, I'm going to reiterate, they've got 2 or 3 outside receivers coming in as true freshmen. You can't always rely on those true freshmen like Texas had been in the last season. But I have a feeling Ryan Wingo is going to be pretty close to ready to play college football by the time he gets through spring ball. And that's another weapon that you could potentially have. To me, this just makes Sark more versatile. It makes Texas test defenses a little bit stronger, a little bit more. But at the end of the day, the versatility, I think, just makes Sark, I think it makes him happy.
We're going to continue the conversation in just a second. We got to get one word in from our sponsor, Andre the Lawyer. Andre the Lawyer, a longtime Inside Texas user, never takes more than his clients. No win, no pay, no upfront cost. His principal office is in Dallas, Texas, and he's been representing injured Longhorns and injured Texans throughout the state of Texas. Every client gets a personalized text message number so they can contact the Andre the Lawyer team and get direct access to their representation all day and all night. Call Andre the Lawyer at 214-444-8808, whether you're in a car wreck, an 18-wheeler accident, a slip and fall, an on-the-job injury, or anything else. Call Andre the Lawyer, 214-444-8808, 214-444-8808. Justin, just kind of going back to what you were talking about, that's the point I was going to make. I think more importantly, or just as important, is that this allows Sark to be versatile. Again, it allows him to probably still run 12 personnel in some form or fashion. Yes. It allows him to run 11 personnel with those 3 wide receivers in various spots on the field. It maybe allows him to get 20 back on the field with with CJ Baxter and Jaden Blue. Maybe if he wants to go 21 again, like he did with Bijan and Roshan and Jatavian, he can do that. Like having 3 wide receivers is crucial because we saw, at least for a stretch in 2022, what it looked like when he didn't have 3 wide receivers. When Isaiah Neyor went down, it was basically the Jordan Whittington and Xavier Worthy show out at wideout. I mean, Jatavian Sanders was the 3rd leading receiver, I think, on that team, just because guys like Casey Kane performed admirably, but just didn't have the same production on that team. So this allows Sark to maintain his ability to deploy a variety of personnels, and I think that's just as valuable to Sark as having some guy who caught 600 or who had 660 yards at Alabama, who had 48 catches at Alabama. I think that versatility is just as valuable to Sarkisian as anything else, just being able to keep his offense going. Justin, anything else on Isaiah Bond or any parting thoughts you got?
Just a parting thought, just trying to, finishing off what you had said, Sark hates tendencies. Sark is the anti-tendency. That he doesn't want to be a guy that gets trapped into a process that defensive coaches could pick up quickly. And when you have 3 guys with this amount of speed and ability and experience, I just think this just, I don't think, I'm not going to say they're better than Adonai Mitchell and Xavier Worthy. That would be ridiculous, and that there's no way to know that. I'm going to tell you, it's going to make Sark more creative. It's gonna make Sark be less tendency based. He's going to be able to do some more things. And with a senior quarterback with an arm that can touch every blade of grass on the field, and a backup quarterback that knows the offense probably as good as anybody in the Sarkisian family, this is just a really good big get for Texas and for the wide receiver room. Give Sark credit, give Chris Jackson credit. And I think Texas is just going to be a lot more fun to watch when we get into 2024.
Love it. Love it. Great addition for Texas. Great breakdown, Justin. Everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel. Justin, tell them where we can find us on the internet. We got a lot more breakdowns on InsideTexas.com as well, all about Isaiah Bond and all about Texas transfer portal class.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Joe, we say it all the time, there's never a better time, but really, there's not a better time. Texas football is one of the most popular things in sports right now. They have all the momentum, and you and I both know when Texas is good, college football is good. And when that's good, Inside Texas is even better. You got to come hang out with us. You got to join the community. We have so many great members, so many great people, it's just a really good time. We treat it like a locker room, and we deliver as much content to you on a regular basis. Come let us earn your dollar. Right now we're running a special $1 for a month. Let us earn your business. Give us a shot at it. If we can't do it, we'll say, we'll give you a hook 'em and a see you. But I think you're going to stick around. Give us a shot. InsideTexas.com, powered by Inside Texas Football. Come see us. Give us a shot. This is the time to jump in, man, because nobody, and I mean nobody, off seasons like Inside Texas.
Like our good friend Josh Pate likes to say, there is no off season. Justin, thank you so much. Once again, Isaiah Bond commits to Texas. Come to InsideTexas.com. Keep coming back to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll see you next time.